So when I think about lessons from the past and what we want to bring to the future, there are a couple things that I would highlight. So first, what we need to do is to focus on resilience, that is detecting and correcting problems, not just preventing them. And why do I say that? Well, we can't imagine or predict or prevent all negative outcomes. We can explore and look to prevent what we think we can prevent, and great,
Yeah.
let's invest in that. Very important. We can also increase the speed with which we see problems, our ability to diagnose, like what's the root cause and what should we do about them, and then take action to mitigate them. And I do think that, from time to time, when we over-focus on prevention, we become overconfident and we think, okay, I've set up a regime in which I can stop bad things from happening. So really, I'll put my time, effort, and investment there. Yet at the same time, bad things always happen. They just always do, because we can't figure it all out, or controls fail, and so on. And so I think it's quite important to look across the whole spectrum of controls and make sure that we focus on, again, the detect and correct. And we're incredibly resourceful and creative when those problems do come around. And so, reflecting on my experience through the GFC and the COVID crisis, the government and the Federal Reserve came up with new and innovative ways to repair and strengthen the financial system. Not everything was perfect, no doubt, but this was something we had not seen before in any of our lifetimes, and the solutions that were adapted and invented were very powerful, and in my view helped us recover from that crisis more quickly and effectively than folks probably could have imagined it would be possible. And we do learn from the experience in during the COVID recovery from COVID. We adapted and repeated and used a lot of the tools that we had developed during the global financial crisis. So there were real learnings there that we carried over. Now, when we think about the agentic context, I see a lot of the same things. So are things going to go wrong? Yeah, they are. I mean, and we already have seen things go wrong. And will the things that go wrong be worse than what we've already seen? Yeah, they will, as the scope of work with agents, increases, kind of the blast radius increases. But what we can do about that, again, there's a lot on the prevention side, and we're just in the early stages of that. So we want to invest and mine and develop the tools for prevention, but we also want to develop the tools that allow us to see what's going wrong, diagnose it, respond as quickly as possible, again, to limit that blast radius. Entities can have a plan. They can build circuit breakers that can act quickly. One thing that's different about agents is how quickly they act, and across how, the
Spectrum.
scope with which they can act. So those are all things that we'll need to see. People won't be fast enough, or at least we'll need automated controls to deal with that. A second dimension, potentially a common one with the GFC and with the COVID crisis, are correlated failures, which is here, the industry's agents are going to run on a couple models. I mean, maybe not, but they probably will run on a couple models. So with shared training data, potentially shared harnesses, blind spots, you could imagine simultaneous agent failure. I mean, one thing would be, the obvious one is that the tools themselves are disrupted, like an operational disruption. It depends on what mission critical activities they're covering, but perhaps that's the less impactful one. The more impactful one would be some kind of poisoning of the agents, some kind of other systemic action by agents, in a short time frame that acts across multiple domains. Maybe it's multiple domains within the financial system, maybe it's across many different industries, but you can think about a systemic agentic failure. So that's something we want to be aware of. And again, to the extent we can prevent it, work on that. To the extent that we can't, work on detection and correction.